So we're going to start 9-2 with the Louisiana Purchase and how and what happened that allowed the United States to do this. So I just want to go over this really fast, real quick, so everybody's at least has the same answers here. So you're reading about Louisiana and the area that was controlled by Spain originally. And then I ask you to describe how this changes. And then what happens is Jefferson finds out that secretly Spain had given this to France. Make sure that you understand that it was given. It's not sold. You have to understand what's going on with France in Europe at the time and why this situation would concern Americans. Well, if this chunk of land was going from Spanish control, and they had of course already shut off part of the Mississippi, now if it's going to French control, you have to understand that France is going through a huge imperial kind of empire building in Europe. And now if they hold a piece of ground in North America, Jefferson's concerned about that. So we're thinking that they could threaten trade on the Mississippi, which of course is the huge river that of course empties down into New Orleans, which at that time then becomes a French-controlled city. But we also had this concern about them expanding, and Napoleon worrying and perhaps contemplating a North American empire to go with his one that he's building across Europe. So as we go from this one to the second slide, I've given you the answer to this one, so let's just put it in there. That's Napoleon Bonaparte. That's the way to say it. And hopefully you did take the time and you watched the videos, which is pretty graphic, but the understanding that there had been an ongoing rebellion, and I asked you the Caribbean island, and so they refer to it as either Santo Domingo or of course today the current country of Haiti. And what had been going on that island that contemplates and concerns us as Americans and how it ties in with Louisiana is that there was a slave rebellion. And the slave rebellion was actually inspired by the French Revolution. And interestingly enough, the French Revolution usually likes to think that it's inspired by the American Revolution, that they're rising up for their liberty and their freedom. And the person who started the rebellion, he's killed. But then also you have a new one, and his name was Toussaint Louverture. And so he begins to kind of resist with the slaves and fight against French oppression. The reason why France wants this island is that it's a huge sugarcane producing place, cash crop. But things turn against the army that Napoleon sends, and they are pushed back and defeated. Sadly though, Toussaint Louverture does not live to see all that. He's actually captured, and he spends the rest of his life and dies in a French prison. So here's just pictures of Napoleon, him as a conquering general. Some people refer to him as Napoleonic tactics. He was brilliant in that, but here he becomes an all-powerful dictator, kind of emperor. This is when he crowns himself emperor. And then him again as a leader of men. And then the person on Santo Domingo, this is Toussaint Louverture, sort of their George Washington. So he does appear on their money, just like George Washington appears on ours, and he's also considered a great military leader. So that's where we're kind of ending here. After those events in Haiti, Napoleon decides, you know what, I don't control the island anymore, so I'm going to sell the entire territory to the Americans. And we were already interested in purchasing New Orleans and part of West Florida, which today would be the Panhandle portion. And Jefferson had given the okay for $10 million. And then, of course, Napoleon comes back and says you can have the whole thing for $15 million. So the Americans jump on that, and the purchase is quickly completed. And that is how we end this portion of how we possess Louisiana and the Louisiana Purchase.